Hey everyone, this is Kirk with Beyond the Rules. This is my cohort Kevin. We got episode number four. Number four. I know we've been out for a long time, but obviously we know a lot of things have been happening. But we got Rich from Hustle Ninjas. He's been doing some extraordinary videos and just been fun watching him. So, Rich, say hi and just tell us what you've been doing this last year because it's just really some great content out there.
Oh, well, for this last year, I just been putting out t-shirt content. A lot of it's been heat transfer vinyl. I've been doing a whole bunch of heat transfer vinyl for probably maybe 5, almost 6 years now. So like the basis of just like my t-shirt business to begin with, it was just heat transfer vinyl. So I've been putting out a whole bunch of content just to help out people in the t-shirt industry who want to start. And heat transfer vinyl is just a great barrier to entry for that.
Well, obviously, we think so too. We love it. We love heat transfer vinyl. It's a great, barrier. Obviously, way to get into the t-shirt business. But just tell me a little bit, like, what made you pick HTV and t-shirts? Kind of like, was that like just did you stumble into it, or was it kind of like, hey, I can do this, or.
Yeah, I kind of stumbled into it. At first, got out of college. I guess I just wanted to, really focus onto one thing. I got into e-commerce and I was like, I'm going to do decals. And then I bought a vinyl cutter and then I started doing decals and it didn't really work out for me. So I sold the vinyl cutter and then some time went by and I had a friend who was doing t-shirts and he had a DTG machine and he also had the vinyl cutter and I asked him how to do it. So he told me to get the vinyl cutter, cut out some heat transfer vinyl and press onto the shirt with the heat press. For some reason, I don't know why, it was just kind of confusing to me. I didn't really understand the vinyl cutter part. I just understood it, the heat press part, but I didn't know there was a correlation between the two. I had already sold my vinyl cutter, so I had to go back and buy another vinyl cutter and then cut out some heat transfer vinyl and then, I press onto the shirt. I didn't know you can use a vinyl cutter to do that as well.
Yeah.
So I got into it from pretty much doing decals.
Awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah. So kind of like what is your niche? Like what is Hustle Ninjas? What are you all about then?
Like just the YouTube channel itself, I really don't know. Like honestly, it's just I was just recording my journey of just like being self-employed, I guess. Like I told y'all earlier, I veered off from doing t-shirts for a while. I got into reselling, I got into YouTube. I realized that wasn't for me. Sometimes you gotta lose something that you do to realize like that's really what you are. So I came back into doing t-shirts, started making videos on that this year, and eventually, it's been like a small community of other people who's been self-employed or just want to share their stories of being share their stories in entrepreneurship, and it's just been like a back and forth inspiration.
So, I talk about one of the videos I was just watching. Really like of yours is like, and why I didn't think about it is your HDV weeding trick when you're doing multi-layer, multi-color, and I was just like, you just released that not that long ago. When I'm like, it's like that was like just an aha moment. I'm like, why didn't I think of this? I'm like, it's so simple. You're like, well, just cut a little bit of the letters from on the same color and then pull those away, and then you like literally have the outline to line it up. And I'm like, why didn't we do that? So I mean, that's clearly we got.
Yeah. Can you explain
just
that for
the
us?
process really quick? Because I think that's like your. To me, it's your aha moment, Rich. Always like I'm like, that's genius. So
I appreciate that. I'm surprised nobody else has ever done it. So I didn't really even think it was like an aha thing, I guess, until I was looking for content to make. And then, I was digging around YouTube and I was like, let me see if somebody else did it first before I do it. But basically, when I layer 2 different colors of vinyl, for the first layer of color, say if I'm doing red and black is the second layer. On the red one, I'll cut out pieces of what the black should be. And then if you leave out the needle, like indent it a little more, it'll go on to the, what would you call it? The back portion, the carrier sheet.
right.
It'll leave an indentation on that. So whenever you press it onto the shirt, you can layer the second one. It'll be on top of the indentation. So it'll just be perfectly lined up. It's kind of hard to explain over voice, I suppose.
Well, we'll have to maybe share your video out. Really cool as far as what you've done there, and I think it's like that's why I love just kind of watching your stuff because it's just simple things. I'm like, why am I not thinking of this? We've been doing this. I don't know. I've been doing it for a few years, and I'm like, I'm like, you just boom, does it, and I'm like, it's a good one. I like I says, hats off to you on that one. I love that one, and I think it's I think it'd be really good to share and show with people because it is. We get that question all the time, don't we, Kevin? I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah.
like,
Yep.
it's like, how do you layer? How do you do this? How do you keep it registered? And I'm like, I don't know, you just by eye. And now you just gave the whole trip away, and we're like, there you go. Now you don't have to worry about it. So
I got to patent that move or something.
yeah, maybe it's patentable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was gonna do a second video to follow up on it with like 8 different colors, just to actually like
Yeah, that'd be
I guess
awesome.
exaggerate the process.
So can you tell us some of like your challenges that you faced, just kind of like starting out? How did you get to like the scale that you're at right now?
Just starting out. I don't know. I guess that's a tough one. I've always been like the person to like take action. I guess that's a thing that maybe other people might have a problem with. But so maybe my problem is not researching enough. So I'm a little backwards. So I take action and I fail a lot. And then I'm like frustrated because I didn't take like enough research to do everything diligently. But I guess that's kind of like a curse and a blessing because then I'm able to figure it out along the way. But as far as like challenges, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. At the time when I first started, I was pretty much a stay-at-home dad too, though. So pretty much time was the biggest constraint, like when I first started.
So can you tell us more about your message? I kind of creeped your website a little bit. Right at that main page, hustle in silence, let your success make the noise. How'd you come up with that?
Well, probably because people probably won't realize that. But in person, I'm very like, I guess I'm not shy, but I'm very quiet. Like I'm pretty antisocial. Like so everything you see on camera, I don't really speak that much. Like that's why even I was telling you before we started recording, I was like, I'm not a great speaker. It's just maybe like when I'm on camera, I just I say what I want to say. And that's pretty much it. If it's something that doesn't hold that much value, then I'm just pretty much quiet about it, So, but at the same time, I pretty much get that from my dad because like my dad, he pretty much taught me everything that I know just from like doing stuff. Like he always woke up, went to work, never said a word. He just showed me to work hard. It's
Hustle in
not really
silence.
it's not really how you walk, it's just how you talk. I mean, backwards. It's not how you talk, it's just how you walk it.
I mean, great message. Love it. So we're gonna compare studios a little bit. Obviously, your studio is looking a lot better than what our studio is right now. I feel like we're moving on at all different places around the building, don't we, Kevin?
Yeah.
I think we're like just jumping around. Like, okay, we can't have Rich on site, so we gotta do it this way. So your studio definitely looks way better than ours. So I love the lights, everything else. Here we are. We're just blue white wall. So
They showed us up big time today.
I don't know, man. My cousin makes fun of me. He every time he sees it, he's like, "Man, your office looks like a Korean music store."
Well, I want the chair though. I think we got to work on it, Kevin. Getting those chairs because those are pretty sweet.
Those are comfy chairs.
Yeah, here we are in just like the standard chairs. But talking about videos, obviously you've done also new product for us, but you've also done some stuff with Supacolor, and we've just launched that very successfully and like that. And so that was another one I watched of yours, and just what was your feedback on that? Or how did you feel that product can play into the HTV world as far as people they're already doing HTV. What would Supacolor play into that?
Well, that's pretty easy because like sometimes people ask me like how I'm able to scale with just vinyl. Well, it's really not just vinyl. Like pretty much with vinyl you could do a whole bunch of one-off prints. Like you can sell thousands of different t-shirts online, but as soon as you get one that's popular, you can do one or two things. You can either get the entire thing screen printed or you can turn it to transfers. That way you don't really have to do the guesswork of which sizes and which t-shirt colors are most popular. You just have the actual design itself ready to go, and that only takes a few seconds. You don't have to worry about loading the design onto the software, whatever software you're using to get it cut out on the actual vinyl cutter. You pretty much have something ready to go for a low cost as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's full color is great, but obviously great advice as far as like there is a point where I think you don't want to say no to like a 100 shirt job or a 200 shirt job, and where do you go to do that? And so that's why we've added Supacolor to our lineup. been very successful. When we've seen, I mean, I think it's well over 100 and some orders we've seen go through, and it's crazy. I mean, it's great. You see people doing things, and they're like, well, this makes sense. Adds on to it, but well done video on that too. I like that one.
Appreciate it.
So.
Yeah, I don't even know their process neither. Recently, I bought the 800 iColor 800 white toner transfer printer, and even when I got the Supacolor transfers, it still feels better than just printing it myself. So I don't know exactly what their process is.
I know it's a secret to us, I think, and we're hoping to figure it out too. Once we can get on a plane and start traveling here, which is very soon, we're like, all right, we gotta go out there. We're gonna figure this out and just jam with those guys. But they're really good guys too.
So where do you see this industry going? Like in the next 10 years or something like that? What do you see happening in the HTV world? I don't know. It's just really big.
I'm not very heavy into like the actual decoration garment like world itself. I don't know. I just kind of used it to
How about
create
this?
an
Where do you
income.
see
But,
your business going?
Yeah,
in the next 10?
You? Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
you.
where do you see you going?
well, I guess as far as both, I think the mystery to me still is just like if there was a mixture between DTG and like white toner transfers, because DTG is just, it has some, like I've done it in the past, and it just has so many moving parts, so much maintenance, and the process is like kind of difficult, but the output is great, like how it's actual ink onto the shirt. But whenever it comes to the white toner transfer printers, like it kind of feels more plasticky or more like a sheet of paper. They both still end up working, but if there's something in between, that's where I would be headed to.
So
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're always asking, what's the next thing, even though we're still doing the same HGV, which is fantastic. I'm just looking for what's the next thing that's going to kind of bring us to that next level. So as far as what's going to be out there, so we talk about another one of your videos. Obviously, it's the 5 tips for heat transfer vinyl. Again, I like that one because you're just kind of like, I didn't think about this too. You're like, hey, if you want to get those little pieces off the back when you're weeding, take a piece of your liner and like stick it on the vinyl and pick it up with that. And I'm like, again, like, why am I not thinking of these things? I mean, seriously, I watched it. I'm like, this is so easy, but it's like, and so, I mean, clearly you're like, you see things differently, Rich, than like even just us. We've been doing this for a long time, but yeah, you see things so much differently than that. And that's like, so how does that thinking come about from you? I mean, because you just look at things, I feel like in all your videos, you just look at things totally different, and that just brings a fresh perspective. So how do you, I mean, just.
I appreciate that. First of all, I mean, I didn't even know that was different. I just kind of knew. I thought everybody already knew, and I was just late. But I guess it's just working more efficiently. I mean, vinyl is pretty much already easy as it is, especially if you're just doing like very simple cuts with letters and whatnot. But I try to avoid like stuff that's very intricate. That way, the process is quick. But if it is something that's kind of difficult and there's a way to cut back on the time it takes to get the process done, then I don't know. It just comes on the fly, I suppose.
Well, you definitely think of things differently, and I like it. That's why I love watching them, because I'm like, all right, I just got like literally, I need to play this for my customer service people. I mean, like customer service needs to see this because like it's just something simple, but it's just there. Mm-hmm. So we'll be playing more of that too, because I love that part of it. So I just like the thinking of like, you just think of those simple shortcuts that should be obvious, but they're not. So it's great. So Rich, obviously, let's talk. People, you're telling people, hey, get into the t-shirt business, stuff like that. So let's just talk about how do you kind of like, I want to get in, I'm going to jump in. What's kind of the path of like, how do we get there? How do you become quick, nimble, scrappy? But also look at it as like, how do I have it so I'm setting myself up so I am scalable? So.
You're saying like if somebody wants to start, is that what you said?
Yep, somebody wants to start.
Okay. I don't know. Really, it's just, I think for me, it's just like, taking action. I think sometimes people they do too much research, watching too much videos, and eventually it's just, if they're just going to keep watching videos, they'll probably never end up buying a heat press. It's just, a heat press can do so much things, and it just like, it pretty much introduces you into the rest of like the garment industry. Like before I even knew about screen printing or direct to garment or whatever else, it was only just because I had a heat press. And it, once I made that first t-shirt and I sold one or two, I was like, well, how do I make 100 of them? So really you won't have those questions until after you start. You know, sometimes people try to find questions or answers before they even start. And, you know, that's just pretty much like having startup anxiety, that, you know, you're trying to be a perfectionist, but you can't really perfect it until after you start and stumble across those questions and start failing. And then once you have those failures, you're able to scale up. But really, you just got to take that first step, get a heat press, or make your first, if it's a t-shirt or a mug, whatever it is, you know, really it's just, you know, do you know how do you sell 1,000 t-shirts?
Right.
No, I was asking, like, you know how you
no.
sell 1,000? Well, you gotta sell that first t-shirt first. So
Yeah.
you gotta take that first step first. You just gotta take action.
So basically, you're saying is basically you tell the customer, you're telling everybody watching this is basically is jump in, get into it, and that's really the path to success is basically you're gonna have to learn a little bit along the way, but just do it.
I mean, that's my method. I don't know if that'll work for everybody, but you know,
That's
if you don't start.
Yeah.
not to plug Jack Canfield, but that's one of the 7 principles of success, I think, is ready, fire, aim. You know, I mean, too many people spend that time aiming, you know, and they never fire. And I think, you know, your method is, you know, jump right in, get into it, and then, you know, not like just figure it out from there. But I mean, your thing is you're all about taking action. You know, you're all about doing that first and then building off of that. You know, what did we learn from this? You know, how can I do this better and stuff?
I think that's really
like,
successful.
well, I guess just to touch on what you're saying, like, I guess I like to fire first without aiming, and then I know how many clicks to the left I'm missing, so I can find my way back and shoot a couple more times.
Yep.
But yeah, that's a great way to say it.
Well, we're going to cut the interview here. Rich, do you want to leave us with any words of wisdom, any advice that you might have just for us or just life in general?
I don't know. I guess just go ahead and take that first step. That's all we've been talking about in this episode, is just taking action to start up that t-shirt brand. If you want to be the next big t-shirt brand or whatever it may be, if you want to sell 1,000 t-shirts or whatever, you just got to get that first t-shirt going first. So as soon as you get that first t-shirt out, then everything else, the path is going to be led by you.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for watching. That'll do it for this episode of Beyond the Rolls. Stay tuned and stick around. We'll have some new content coming out shortly.